Hey everyone, today I'm going to be going over the Shark Tank FastAPI implementation. I spent a lot of time pulling this data together, so hopefully you can use it in some of your projects or to help you, test things out as you're developing and coding along. So I'm not going to cover too much of the setup because it's laid out here for you in the README file. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up Postgresql and pgadmin4. So just going through installation steps, if you don't already have these tools installed. When you go into pgadmin4, you're going to create what I call the Shark Tank server. And there'll be some different configurations here on the connections tab that I've laid out, what you should label these or what you should make these variables. The next piece is going to be creating that database for the Shark Tank server. Then on the definitions tab, I've laid out a couple of things, and some might be different for macro windows, at least they were in my case. And then lastly, you're going to go ahead and configure a database connection. So in this database.py file, I've laid out a dummy one here for you that connects to my local Postgres database. You could also spin up a Neon Tech, which I've done for a different project. And just make sure you change this to whatever your password is to get into your Postgres database. Other than that, we're going to clone the repository down, and then we're going to start up a virtual environment. I've laid out the commands that you can do that with here. And then once we activate that virtual environment, we'll be able to install the different dependencies that we need for this project to run. Lastly, we're going to go ahead and run that development server. And we're going to load the data in. So loading the data in is very simple. So I'll go ahead and pull my pgadmin4 here. And you see here under my tables, I do not have any tables set up. I just cleared them all out of the database. So we can go back to the main.py file. So in here, it's very simple. As soon as we start the app, it's going to go ahead and load in all the models that we created into the database and create those tables for us. So that's going to be in the models.py file. And here we have our sharks, seasons, pitches, and episodes, and the different data types that those need to be as they get loaded into the database. So coming back to this main.py, we'll go ahead and do unicorn main app -- reload. Go ahead and start this up. And now that we've started this up, what's going to happen is we can come to the docs section. So this is FastAPI here. And this spins up the docs automatically for you. So these are all the different routes that we've created in this project that we'll be able to use. And I've made it super simple. There's a bulk load for each type or each table in the database, but I've also created a default down here, this bulk load data. So we can come in here, hit try it out, and we go ahead and execute that. Before I do that, we'll jump here. Don't have any tables or any data right now, which might not be good. Let me go ahead and refresh this. I'll go to the tables. So we have our tables loaded from when we started up the application, but there's nothing in them currently. So we could say select all. Just say from sharks. And we have the different table headers, but none of the data. So we'll go ahead and bulk load this, execute that. If you got a 201, that means all the data was loaded in successfully. Pitches, episodes, seasons, and sharks. If you got a 500, there might be a dependency missing somewhere. I would follow the error and see if you could debug it. We can come back down here now. I can go ahead and execute this, and we'll have all that data, all the sharks that were ever on the show Shark Tank. If we go to seasons, we can load that in. And the cool thing about these docs too is that I can come here. I can go to, we'll do one we haven't had. The pitches one's the largest data set. It might take a second to load, but I can go ahead and execute this. It's going to pull all that data down from the database and return it to me in a nice JSON format. So it's just an array of objects here. In this case, it's all of the pitches. So that's pretty much everything. Happy coding.